Technique Teachers Association of Ghana embarked on a strike some few days ago, even though it's been declared illegal by the Ghana Education Service and the Ministry of Education. In the meantime, though, we have other associated bodies of teachers joining the foray of strike actions. The latest is the Coalition of Concerned Teachers Association of Ghana. They've also threatened, or they have stated they're embarking on a strike action, stating today. We have the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the Concerned Teachers Association of Ghana in the studio. Johnson Kennedy Gully is in the studio. A very good morning to you, Mr. Gully.
Good morning to you.
What's the quantum of membership you have, for which continuously you keep threatening government to embark on a strike action?
Yeah, first of all, I want to say good morning to your cherished listeners and viewers outside there. Secondly, I want to say good morning to very hardworking teachers out there, especially members of Coalition of Concerned Teachers. Now, back to your question. Our population as a union is around 20,000 people, teachers currently, and we're still compiling more lists to be sent to the controller so that the dues will come on board. Therefore, by the end of this month, we'll be hitting around 25,000 membership. Thank you.
And why are you embarking on a strike action this time around?
Yeah, there are quite a number of issues. These are not new issues at all. First of all, when the single span was implemented, we realized that a year or two after, our promotional incremental adjustment has not been coming. That is, that shows the difference in ranks in the service as we progress along the service. But what we realize is that when you are a principal superintendent before the single span is implemented, you remain on that same rank and that same point for the past 4 years. And all other people who will be promoted after you will also join you on the same rank and with the same points, salary point, and the same salary. And we think that the progression is not taking place. That is one. So we met the government and the Ministry of Finance and the Fair Wages on this issue. And the conclusion has been reached that they pay the incremental jump to the teachers, and henceforth make sure that they calculate it at the beginning of every year. But what did we see? We realized that in January, when they paid our salaries, we remain on the same rank, which is not supposed to be. I was promoted to Assistant Director 2 in December, and by January, I was supposed to be on a pay, the base pay, which is 0.1. But I am still on the, I'm supposed to go to 0.2.
But you're still on 0.1.
I'm still on 0.1.
Even though you've been promoted.
Yes.
But is it that you're going to give in arrears sometime?
That is the actual issue that we are going to discuss this morning, the arrears issues. Some time ago, government has been paying arrears to teachers. If you teach for a year or 2 years, you'll be recruited or you go on promotion, they pay you some arrears as long as they have not place you on the right scale on time. But just last year, November 4th, the Minister of Finance, Honorable Mr. Setitekbe, came out with a letter which was addressed to only the Controller General and some other agencies in the ministry departments that henceforth, from January 2014, they are not going to pay any arrears beyond 3 months, irrespective of the number of months that you have worked before you are due for the arrears.
Was that in a circular?
No. They just smuggled a letter to the controller and another one to the...
How did you get wind of it, or your own sources told you?
Yes, we found one particular copy from our own investigation.
How is it possible that you know that government is in incremental deficit of allowance payment in excess of 3 months, and then in reality you will not be paid 3 months? You will raise questions as an individual and as a group. So how does it come about that you draw such conclusions?
Yes, we met the fair wages sometime about a month ago, and the Labour Commission. And we showed them the letter that the government, the minister wrote to the various implementing authorities, and then they also sat us down and discussed a few things with us. So we concluded that a form is designed for all those who are affected by that particular policy, so that they fill the form and then send to the forms to the controller, so that the arrears should be cleared. But up to this time, the form has not been given to any member who was affected.
Well, we'll try and speak to Paul Krampa, who is the public relations consultant or advisor to the Minister of Education, and then we'll try to get some reaction from the Minister of Education. I'm sure we'll try to allay some of the concerns that have been raised. But so now you want to embark on the strike action. Following your interactions with the government committee or the personalities or the officers involved, what have been some of the responses you've been getting for which you feel that perhaps they've shown bad faith, and as a result of that you want to embark on the strike action?
The actual issues are four. One is the rationalization of teachers.
Base pay?
No, the teachers that they said they were overstaffed in the
urban area.
So they will be rationalized without transfer grants. We think that before you move a teacher from one particular school to another school, even across districts and regions, you should pay transfer grants. They do not want to pay that transfer grants. Apart from that, the pension scheme is another problem, the second tier. That has to do with the government. We realized that over the 4 years that the new pension scheme was in existence, we cannot locate the account into which the second tier has been paid into. And we have pestered government and the authorities that are in charge for close to 6 months. They can't tell us who is managing the fund, and next year, the first set of people will retire, workers will retire on that particular fund. I would think that it is time now for us to fight for them, so that when they go on retirement, they can get their lump sum, because Senate is not going to pay the lump sum any longer to workers from next year. It's a very serious issue. That is the second issue. The third issue is the incremental allowance we're talking about. And the very last one is the 3-month policy of arrears, which is unheard of, because the person has, you posted a teacher to a particular school, teaching for over 2 years. He filled all documents for his pay to come, but it's not his fault. And then they couldn't pay him on time. So you tell him that he's going to suffer from this policy, and you pay him only 3 months.
Are you sure of what you're saying?
I'm a victim.
You are a victim.
I'm telling you.
You've been given a posting that is in excess of 3 months.
My case is
and then you were paid 3 months, or you have heard that you will be paid 3 months.
My case is a promotion.
Okay.
Yes. The conditions.
You have been promoted.
Yes.
It's exceeded 3 months.
Yes.
That the arrears of the start of the promotion period has not been paid yet, and you are saying that you will only be paid 3 months of that, exceeding even if it exceeds 3 months. Is that it?
I've already been paid 3 months.
Only 3 months you've been paid,
instead of almost 18 months.
So you feel that is unfair?
Yes.
Indeed, that is unfair.
It's unfair.
In your interaction with the ministry on this very subject, even though, according to you, I mean the association, you have located a certain circular to the, is it the Auditor General or the Accountant General?
Accountant General.
Seems to give you the indication that that is now a government policy. What has been some of the interactions you've had, and what the responses they've been given to you on this very subject of only paying 3 months of incremental allowance deficits?
Yeah, the point they raised was that workers should be placed straight away. In fact, this policy includes all the public sector workers. But we think that teachers have a peculiar case, because it's always our salaries that are delayed to that extent. So they are putting the blame on the authorities that process our salaries at the district level, that we should go back to them, appeal to them to process our salaries henceforth on time. And the government has taken a decision not to pay arrears over 3 months, so that's what they are going to do. And if they had given us any positive response, I think we'll not go to this extent. Okay,
so now because of this, you want to embark on a strike action?
One of
and currently, you have a membership of 18,000, you say?
20,000.
20,000. You
Yes.
want to see it increase to over 25,000
Yes.
in the subsequent months that we have.
Yes.
So it means that 20,000 teachers across the country, is that it? Are you going to have sit-down strikes or
It's going to be a total strike.
a total strike? What does it mean? Total strike?
Meaning that we will not go to school, not go to work premises.
You don't go to school, you don't go to
work premises.
at all. You're not going to teach.
At all. Go to sit in the house.
Have you given a notice to the National Labour Commission?
We did.
Okay. Have you, according to the labour law, you're supposed to satisfy certain regulations. You're supposed to make sure that you go through the process of dialogue extensively as they've been stipulated in the labour law.
Yes.
Then you go through an arbitration process before you resort to any strike action.
I'm aware.
You are aware of that?
Yeah.
So are you not flouting the labour law?
I don't think so because, excuse me to say, our Labour Commission has become quite ineffective when dealing with workers because we appealed to them several times to call government to order in some of these issues. But it appears when workers go on strike, then they have their teeth to bite. But when the government is doing things that are not good for the workers, they don't say anything about them.
And because government is the biggest employer, you feel that they favour the government?
I think so because the International Labour Organization also admits that in these labour issues, the more vulnerable party is the worker, is the employee. So I think that's what they are chancing on.
So here you are. You have difficulties with the current conditions under which you're working, whether the emoluments or the service conditions, and now you're indicting the country's foremost labour commission, the National Labour Commission.
Yes, because we have dealt with them severally, and they've not helped our causes so much.
So when are you starting the strike action? Is it from this very morning?
This very morning.
From this very morning?
This very morning. In fact, we're supposed to have a demonstration yesterday, but because of the Ghana Traditional Authority ban on the noise making, the police could not agree with us to have that demonstration.
You should have gone to Kumasi then if you wanted to embark, because those civil liberties are also rights that you need to enjoy under the country's constitution.
Yes, therefore, Tuesday, next week Tuesday, there is a very heavy demonstration in Kumasi.
In Kumasi?
Yes.
Okay. So now, if you go on strike, then you begin dialogue?
But we must not be on strike before we dialogue.
So then why do you want to go and strike before you go and dialogue?
Sometimes the government will not listen to you when you're in the classroom teaching and you want to have their attention. It's difficult. They think that you have, and we are leading members, we are leading people who are affected by this very policy. So they keep on heaping the fire on our head that we should do something because we are taking dues from them, that we have to work for them. So we think that we should.
We'll see whether our producers can get Paul Cramper, who is the PR consultant, and then to the Ministry of Education. We'll try to ask him, have you notified the Ministry of Education?
We did. In fact, we had a press conference last week.
That is not an official notification.
Yes.
Have you notified officially the Ministry of Education that this is your position as a result of that today, the 16th of May 2014, you're embarking on a strike action for which membership, which you have, 20,000 in excess, will not go into the classroom to teach?
Yeah, according to my president, he did.
So you're satisfied with all the arrangements you have put in place?
Yes.
As a teacher, you also signed a bond to teach, an oath also to teach with all your heart, making sure that you serve the interests of the pupil or the student. Now, is that not? Aren't you flouting that very oath?
Yeah, it's a two-way affair. I think we've been teaching. The last time you heard about strike or demonstration, I think to date back as far back as 8 months ago. It is not our intention, or we're not happy about going on strike or demonstration. No worker is happy about doing that. This is a condition, the privileged condition that pushes us in some of these things. If our employers are quite frank, then they should come to the public. In fact, well-meaning Ghanaians should not only always think that the interests of the children. We have been children before, ourselves. So the interest of the children, we also have children as our own children. So we should not always say that the interest of the children go back.
Do you acknowledge that the string of strike actions which public sector workers are forcibly embarking upon is perhaps also threatening public security and public peace?
Yes, I do. I have concerns for that.
But But then why?
But as an individual, to have some financial security or insecurity, as an individual, as a worker, you have your own problem as far as financial security is concerned. So in the interest of the larger population too, within that population, you also exist as an individual. So you think of the security of the state, and you think of your own security as well.
Mm. And so as a result of that, now, what's the action now?
Yes, the strike action continues this morning, and demonstration takes place in Kumasi on Tuesday. That is what is going to happen, and we'll be waiting upon the government to see what they will tell us.
So unless you haven't given any ultimatum to yourselves, you haven't given a timeline to yourself for the strike action, you only wait when the government responds to you?
It's quite indefinite.
Okay. Now, if the entire membership, what is the regional breakdown? For example, in Accra, how many members do you have?
In Accra, our membership is not that large, but we have over 1,000 membership in Accra. Over 1,000 membership in Accra. Eastern region, we have about 6,000. And Brong-Ahafo, in fact, I can't give you a specific figure anyway. In Brong-Ahafo, we have about 7,000 membership. And in Ashanti region, we have close to 8,000, thereabouts. And the other regions that we do not have enough as compared to the first 5 I've mentioned. We have some scattered membership in those regions also, the Upper East, Upper West, Northern region, and Volta region. And in the Central region, we have also over 4,000 membership in the Central region.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when do you hope to start the consultations with the Ministry of Education then?
Yeah, when they throw us invitation, we will go. When they give us invitation.
Why don't you then go forward to speak to them?
We've done this. We've done that, and they turn deaf ear to our request. The issue about the pension scheme, the second tier, we've been on that issue from last year, somewhere March. And they cannot show us where the money is lodged. They can't. The work is a serious issue because now when you go to SNID, they'll tell you that from next year they're not going to pay lump sum to workers who retire.
But the second tier beneficiaries will be paying lump sum by those managing the second tier scheme?
Yes.
Okay, so you just want to know who...
We have been constituted board of trustees to manage that fund. First of all, first they said that we didn't have board of trustees, so they will not release the fund. Now we've passed through that stage last year. They should release the fund into the account of the board of trustees to start investing so that the workers can get something out of it when they go on retirement. And we can't get the fund.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And we've been speaking to Johnson Kennedy Gully. He is the chairman for the Greater Accra chapter of the Coalition of Concerned Teachers Association of Ghana. Countrywide, the Concerned Teachers Association of Ghana's membership, they are embarking on a strike action. They number in excess of some 20,000 teachers scattered across the country. They are starting this very strike action because of some 4-point difficulties they have as far as negotiations are concerned with their conditions of service and their emoluments. And we'll have to say, Mr. Gully, thank you very much for passing through the studios. We hope to have you sometime again for us to recommence this very discussion on whether it is a threat to public security if you keep embarking on a strike action or not.
Thank you very much,
okay.
Mr.
So
Rowland.
we were taking